You don't usually notice self-trust changing your life in one big moment because it doesn't announce itself. It doesn't feel like a breakthrough. It shows up in much quieter ways. In the way that you make a decision and you don't immediately reopen it in your mind. It's in the way you stop replaying conversations over and over again. And it's in the way your body feels a little less tight inside your own life. And if you've been listening this month, as we've been talking about overthinking, self-doubt, and those small moments when you leave yourself, this episode is about what begins to happen when you slowly stop doing that. Not perfectly, not all at once, but gently. Come on in. It's time to choose your happy life. Wherever you are, whatever kind of day you're having, this is your reminder. You have a choice. If you're ready to break free from self-doubt and negative thinking, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Marie, and this is the Choose Happy with Marie podcast. Welcome. Hello, how are you? I hope you're doing well. I'm looking out the window and it's raining. I'm really hoping the sun comes out soon and that we have summer soon. I've been noticing lately how much quieter I feel when I'm not constantly mentally revisiting everything I've already decided. And that's really what this month has been about. We've been exploring something that most people don't talk about in this way. It wasn't just overthinking. It's been about the moment when you stop trusting yourself and you don't even realize it's happening. We talked about why self-trust breaks down over time. We also talked about the exact micro moment when overthinking begins and how you leave yourself in everyday decisions, and also how to start noticing your own voice again. And today, I want to bring that full circle because awareness is powerful. That's where we start, but it's not the end of the process. So today is about something different. It's about what actually begins to change in your life when you start trusting yourself more consistently. It's not going to seem or appear dramatic, or it's not going to be done perfect either. So if you have perfectionist tendencies, please put them aside. But in small, almost unnoticeable ways at first. And I want to say something gently here, because I've noticed this in my own life too. It's not in a big, everything changed way, but rather in small internal shifts. Less mental noise, less emotional friction, and less of that feeling of being slightly disconnected from myself. And I didn't realize that at first, that that's what self-trust actually feels like. But looking back, that's exactly what it was. So let's talk about what that actually looks like in real life. The first way, you stop fighting yourself after decisions. I know many of you here don't like making decisions. I know that because I coach clients and, that gentle nudge to make a decision can be challenging at first. But one of the first things that begins to change when you start trusting yourself is this. You stop mentally reopening decisions that you've already made. And I want you to notice how subtle this is. Because most of the time, this doesn't feel like I don't trust myself. It actually feels like the following. Let me think about this just one more time. Or, did I handle that right? Or, maybe I should double check, one more time. Or, let me just make sure. Does any of that sound familiar? underneath what's happening is something deeper. It's a quiet disconnect from your own inner decision. So instead of staying with what you choose, you go back into it. You reanalyze it, you re-question it, you re-enter something that was already complete. And self-trust slowly changes that pattern. And it's not by removing doubt. There can still be doubt, but it's about changing your relationship with doubt. I want to share with you 3 ways that this can show up in real life. The first one, you might still think about things. What's the difference here is you don't spiral into long internal replays where you're trying to fix something that already happened. So you'll see that there's less reflections like, why did I say that? Or should I have said it differently? Or what did they think of me? And instead, you'll have reflections such as, okay, that happened. I can handle this. Or I can let that be enough. Also, you'll stop needing external validation after every decision. Does that happen to you? So instead of immediately asking someone, do you think that was okay what I said? Or what would you have done? You don't do that, or you do it less. You'll start to pause and you'll notice and you'll say to yourself, I already have an answer inside me. I just don't always trust it yet. And when you reach that moment, it's huge because you stop outsourcing your clarity so quickly. And even if a decision wasn't perfect, because we can't, you know the whole concept of perfection, right? We know that that's unrealistic. So even if a decision doesn't feel perfect or look perfect, what happens is you don't stay emotionally stuck in it for hours or days. You don't carry it like a weight. You don't mentally reopen the file over and over again. Instead, there's a quiet return to yourself where you say to yourself, I did the best I could with what I knew in the moment. If you can adopt those words, that's life-changing. And I'll repeat it. When you can get to the point where you say, I did the best I could with what I knew at the moment, that moves you forward. And this is where something really important happens. Your mind becomes less of a courtroom, less of a place where you're constantly relitigating yourself, and more of a place where you simply move forward. The second small way where your life starts to change when you start trusting yourself is more in a physical nature. Less mental, more physical now. Because when you're constantly second-guessing yourself, your nervous system stays slightly activated. Not in an obvious panic way, but in a subtle, something still needs to be figured out way. And that creates exhaustion. So when self-trust starts to grow, something begins to soften. And here are 3 ways that can show up in your life. The first, you begin to realize, I don't need perfect certainty to move forward. And that alone reduces internal pressure because perfection stops being the requirement for action. Another way is, you know that feeling of you're still thinking about something you already handled, you're replaying it in the background as you live your day, or you're feeling slightly tense, even though nothing is happening now. Well, that begins to fade. Not because your life gets easier, but because you stop mentally re-entering it. Also, things won't hit you as intensely internally. There's more space between stimulus and reaction. You'll take the time to pause and give yourself breathing room inside yourself. And I think this is something we underestimate. We think we're so tired from doing too much, and some of us are, but often we're tired from thinking too much about a decision that we made, that we could have done better. And with self-trust, it starts reducing that load. And the third way in which your life changes when you start trusting yourself is the most meaningful shift, I think, because this is where identity starts to realign. Not because you're becoming someone new, but because you stop abandoning yourself so often. And I want to share with you what that can look like. So let's say, instead of defaulting to, let's say, what makes sense, or what others expect of you, or what others prefer, right? Because that's how you've been living. I know, because I've been there. You start hearing yourself say, but what do I want? And that question becomes louder in your life. Don't get me wrong, you still care, but you don't automatically override yourself anymore. You don't instantly shape shift based on external input. What happens is there's more honesty within yourself. You'll feel more present, and you will gain internal stability. Not dramatic life changes, but rather small ones. And it can look like resting without guilt. You don't need to be working all the time. You can say no without over-explaining. If you've been with the show for a while, you've heard me say that the word no, N-O, can be a complete statement. We don't always have to explain why it's no. I know that's hard at first, but it just requires practice. It can also look like choosing what feels right for you instead of what feels expected of you. And most importantly, trusting your own preferences again. And slowly, you'll see your life starts to feel like it belongs to you again. Not because it changed externally, but because you stayed inside it. And I think that's the quiet truth of adopting self-trust. It doesn't give you a different life. It brings you back into your own life. So as we close the month of May, as these episodes came out in the month of May, I want to bring this all together. This month, we talked about overthinking, self-doubt, the moment you leave yourself, and how to begin noticing your own voice again. And the real shift was never about fixing anything. If you can just look at it as maybe it's something simpler. Something as simple as learning to stay with yourself a little longer than you're used to. Because every time you do that, very small changes happen. But over time, these small changes become your life. Before we close out this month's episodes, if they resonated with you and you're noticing yourself, starting to see these patterns in your own life, you might want to go back and listen to them. Listen to the conversations we had, because this wasn't just one idea that I explored in a single episode. I actually took a different approach this past month, and I did a gradual unfolding because I wanted you to just have manageable chunks of information to absorb. I know you're multitasking while you're listening to the show, driving your car, washing your dishes, walking your dog, and any of those activities. So I want to give you just manageable chunks, and I hope you like that. Please let me know if you like that approach. So just a recap of the episodes. Episode 147, I'll repeat that. Episode 147 was about why you don't trust yourself, even when life looks fine on the outside. Episode 148 was about the exact moment when overthinking begins. It's that small shift where you leave yourself without realizing it. Episode 149 was about reconnecting to your own voice again, especially in those moments when doubt is loud. And this episode today, it's the integration of all of that. So if you want to deepen this work for yourself or notice your own patterns more clearly as they happen in real time, you can always go back and listen to the episodes that I just mentioned. But only if that feels supportive to you. Please know there's no pressure at all. It's just an invitation if they resonate with you. And as we close out this month together, I want to leave you with something simple. Remember, this month wasn't about fixing anything about you. It wasn't about becoming a different version of yourself. And it wasn't about learning how to never overthink again, because we are human beings and we are going to think and overthink and overanalyze. It was about something much quieter than that. It was about noticing the moments where you leave yourself and gently beginning to come back. Because self-trust isn't built in one big shift. It's built in the small moments. You know, when you pause before spiraling into all these thoughts. When you notice your thoughts without immediately believing them. It's when you choose not to abandon yourself, even in the middle of feeling uncertain. And if there's one thing I hope you can take from this month's episodes is this. You're not trying to become someone new. You are learning how to stay with yourself again. And that changes everything over time. It's not dramatic, but it is deep. So wherever you are right now in your life, please know you don't need to rush to figure it all out. You don't need to fix everything at once. And you don't need to get this perfect. Just keep noticing and keep coming back to yourself. Trust yourself. You know the way forward. Every time you pause and choose differently for your life, you are choosing your happy life. Wishing you a wonderful week, choosing happy. Cheers. Thanks for listening to Choose Happy with Marie. If today's episode spoke to you, I would love it if you could share it with a friend or leave a quick review for the show. It helps more women find this kind of support. Remember, you don't have to overhaul your life to start feeling better. You just have to choose happy right where you are, one choose happy choice at a time. I'll see you next time. Take care.